so welcome to the Deal Finders Corner. So this is your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter, hosted by myself, Guillaume Black, your favorite Frenchman, CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. It's the UK's highest rated platform to find deals, and we are on a mission to empower our property investor and deal sourcer members to find 1,000 deals this year, thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. So the purpose with your Deal Finder Corner is to give you more and the best of the available resources, inviting for you expert guests who will share with you the latest and the most current strategies, tactics and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of findings and making deals, and the reality of systemizing and running a high-performance business in property. So it really is my pleasure today to introduce you my good friend, Sarah, on today's Deal Finder Corner. So Sarah Rapley will share with us the secrets of raising finance and how to never run out of money on a project again. So a little bit about Sarah. So Sarah started investing in property more than 15 years ago, and in collaboration with her husband, Martin, which we've had on the show previously, they successfully cultivated a diverse portfolio of single-lets, HMOs, and conversions. They are the project people. And they've achieved most of that by leveraging external finance resources. So they have also established a consultancy and training company all about property refurbishment. So I think it's called the Refurbishment Mastery. Check these out. I actually got a lot of advice from Martin and Sarah when I started, and not so long ago as well. So yeah, this is really cool, good resources. Sarah is also a coach and mentor for the students within Simon Zucchi's mastermind program and his coaching program. This really, not to speak for Sarah, but she's really dedicated in assisting, helping and guiding others on this property and a bit on wider things in life as well. It's all about addressing limiting beliefs, empowering individuals to enhance their self-confidence, and ultimately enable them to pursue their objectives in unwavering clarity and determination. So what you can expect from today's episode. So Sarah is going to take us through the process of attracting investors, how to find investors before you even find a deal, and how to give yourself confidence to put offers on deals before, because you'll know and you have the belief that surely there will be investors lined up for you. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing about Sarah's talk today. So please give a massive Property Filter virtual welcome to Miss Sarah Rapley. Welcome. Great to have you, Sarah.
Great, good to be here. Fantastic. Thank you very much for inviting me to talk on your session here today. Is that sharing okay as a slideshow there, Guillaume? Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, as Guillaume said, I'm here to go through my presentation. Never run out of money for your projects again. As Guillaume said, we use private investor finance, angel investors, and investment from all sorts of different areas that you may not have thought about. And I'm here to take you through some of those ideas so that you yourselves can confidently put offers in on properties. So as Guillaume said, I'm a coach and mentor for Simon Zucchi, and a lot of my coachees come to me and say, all right, what comes first? Should I look for the deal or should I look for the investor? And that's one of the things that I'm going to be covering today. I'm here to help you with the mindset of investors. I really struggled at the beginning to understand why investors would invest in me. There's a really good reason why investors will want to invest in you, and I'm going to cover that. I'm also going to cover how to structure deals to need less money. It's one of the big successes that we've had, that we've used creative deal structures to actually end up needing to find less money. It's a lot easier to find £50,000 than it is to find £300,000. So I'm here to take you through my deals, structure, the type of investor, where I found them and how I found them, and hopefully to inspire you guys to go out there and get more deals and make more offers and get more deals. So who am I? Thanks for the introduction, Guillaume. I am one half of the Martin and Sarah Rapley team. So yeah, as Guillaume said, you heard from Martin about refurbishment mastery. I think that was just last week, actually. And we help investors with their refurbishments. We train them on refurbishments and help them not lose money on any refurbishment deals they've got. We've also got a Helpful Property Group as a company. That's our portfolio business. And as I said, I'm a coach and mentor for Property Investors Network. And of course, all of my coachees within Property Investors Network are all using Property Filter. They're all finding deals on Property Filter. So I'm going to get straight into it, straight into the content, straight into the meat of the presentation, and go straight into my first case study. So as I said, I'm going to take you through the structure, how we found it, what type of investors we used, and a bit later on, I will tell you about how we found those investors. So this first case study is a private investor financed purchase lease option. Great strategy, purchase lease options. This down in the Medway Towns. It's a cracking building. It was already an HMO that we found through the HMO registered. The owner's challenge was that they were moving from Kent up to Chester. The bigger problem was that the property should have been her pension. So she really wanted to sell the property so that she could move away and retire. But if she'd have sold it at that point, the amount she'd have sold it for would only have covered the mortgage that was currently on the property. So she needed some time. She needed a bit more time, and she didn't want to sell. So what we offered her was to manage the property for the remainder of the term of the mortgage, pay a lease fee. This is a standard lease option deal. The big thing that we could offer her was to purchase the property at the end of the mortgage for that day's value plus 50% of any uplift. That was a big incentive for her to do the deal with us, was that we were offering her time for the property to increase in value. So quick whistle stop tour of purchase lease options there. So what do we need? We needed, because it's just a purchase lease option and we're not purchasing the property at that point, technically we only needed £1 to secure the option. The option agreement is a contract, so you need, it used to be a peppercorn, you need some kind of a consideration to make the contract complete. So £1 to secure the option. At the time, it was £500 solicitor's cost. Now, we haven't done a lease option for a while, and I suspect that is completely out of date, maybe £750, maybe £1,000. And then as this was an HMO already, we just needed to do a light refurbishment to start with, and that was about £15,000. So you can see here with purchase lease options, you need a lot less capital to get going. It's an awful lot easier to find £17,000 than it is to find £100,000 to buy a property that's worth £350,000. So we started small, and that was one of our biggest successes. We put together a simple business plan, and I will show you that business plan a bit later on. And we put that out to friends, family, people who knew us, people that have known us for a long time, people that trust us. We're talking here about private investors. We put the simple business plan together, put it out to a number of different people, and somebody offered to invest in us. We ran the property for 3 years, cash flowed okay for us. The important thing here was that we paid an investor every single month. And that meant that we gained some confidence from their trust in us in order to raise more finance to actually purchase the property at the end of the option. And if we'd have needed to, we would have been able to get a testimonial from that investor, from that first investor, for £17,000 to give us a testimonial for the higher amount that I'm just about to go through. So we borrowed money, we borrowed further money to purchase the property. We bought it with bridging finance, and we ended up with £50,000 equity. So the way that happened was that when we did the deal 3 years earlier, we agreed £250,000 with the owner, plus 50% of the uplift in value between the deal being done and when we actually purchased the property. There was £100,000 uplift within that three-year period. So we split that 50-50. We ended up giving the owner £50,000, which she was delighted with, because only 3 years earlier she was going to sell the property and take nothing from it. But it also gained us £50,000 equity as well towards the purchase. We refurbished it fully and refinanced the property commercially. At that point, we were able to repay both the long-term investor, the £17,000 investor, and the higher amount investor. I can't remember what that figure was. It was somewhere in the region of £80,000. The long-term investor, we were able to repay both of those people back with the refinance. Really important that you know your exit. When we are putting together our deal sheets, our business plans, the most important line on that business plan is the exit. When we started, we had one exit. Now we have three different options as to how we may be able to pay that money back, just in this current climate that we're in at the moment. And as I say, investors are far more interested in knowing the exit than they are even the interest rate. So this was the before photos. It was a pretty tired, rundown HMO, and we've fully refurbished it, and it's been virtually full ever since. We're running at about 97% occupancy, which is fantastic. So I spoke there about private investors. They are friends and family, and I will go through my marketing plan later on to show you how we actually find those people. In case study number 2, this is we funded this through company retained profits. This is a flat that we've owned for 17 years, and the lease had reduced to a pretty painful 59 years, so we needed to extend that lease. We put together our business plan and we put it out to the market, and it was actually one of my friends, who's also a developer, came to us and said, well, so this was right at the beginning of COVID. And he said, well, we were supposed to be doing a project, but that project has just been shelved because of COVID. I've got some money sat in a business account that is doing nothing. I can lend you that money. Now, the thing with business owners is that, as a business owner myself, I can extract profits from my business in a number of different tax efficient ways. I can take directors' dividends, I can set up a director's ISA, I can obviously take an element of PAYE, I could maybe invest in a SAS pension. But at some point, it becomes more efficient to leave the money within the business and actually invest it from there. And that's where this developer was. He left money in the business, incredibly successful, left money in the business, and was investing that money from there to just keep growing the pot that is within the business. So we borrowed the money from him, we extended the lease, and here's our exit. We refinanced and were able to pay back the investor from that refinance. It took a number of years for that balance to be correct, where the value of the property had increased enough to swallow the £28,000 or something that we were paying for the lease extension. So we waited a long time for this opportunity. We extended the lease and we were able to refinance. It's a great property, this. Touch wood, we've had barely any problems with the tenants in there. Cash flows nicely for a single let, and it's got barely any of our money in it at all. So that's company retained profits, and I'll go through how we find businesses that are doing really well for themselves a bit later on. Case study number 3. So this was joint venture funding. So this is a commercial to residential conversion in Maidstone. It had we're looking at the yellow building, so the big yellow building and the two small yellow buildings behind. It had permission to demolish the two yellow buildings at the back and raise 6 studio flats. The challenge with the studio flats was that they were all too small to be sold off individually, so nobody was buying the site. We went and looked at the property and we realised that if we converted the back yellow building into a two-bedroom little cottage and removed the middle section to create a couple of gardens, we could then create 6 flats from the front and a 2-bedroom cottage at the back. So we found this deal, and we also had a Martin Rapley that could convert the property, but we didn't have any funding for it. So we went to the market to see if we could find a joint venture partner. This was the biggest deal that we'd done to date. So rather than raise kind of an angel investment, we decided that we would look for a joint venture partner. We offered a 50-50 joint venture, and we again put together our deal sheet, put that out to the market, and a couple of business partners came to us and said, yeah, happy to get on board with this. It's really important when you're looking at joint ventures that you work out what skills you can bring to the deal. So, as I said, we had the deal. We also had a project manager that could project manage the deal, but we didn't have the money. And if you know, there's a number of people on the call here who know Martin and I, you know that we're not particularly extroverted. So standing in the middle of a room and asking for money, it's not really our bag. What we needed was those people who were really good. This was a long time ago. I've got a lot better at attracting angel investors now, but back then, I couldn't stand in a networking room, and we needed to attract people that could do that. Those were the skills that we were looking for. So I don't know if any of you have come across the wealth dynamics. This is Roger James Hamilton's profiling tool. And I'd really recommend that you look into this. What this is saying is that if you have one of each of these people, so a creator, as you see there, that's Richard Branson, star supporter, all of those around the outside, if you have one of each of those, you would have the best team that you could possibly have. The people on the right hand side, the supporter, they are the networkers. They are the people that will sweep a room and know everybody's birthdays, where they went for their last holiday, when their baby's due. They will know everything about everyone. I've run a networking meeting in Kent. I ran it for 8 years, and I watched supporters sweep the room of all the money that is in the room before they walk out there. The trader, that's actually me. Anyone down the bottom here, very process driven, administrative, just keeps the wheels on the track. Anyone over on the left hand side here, they are the detail. That's where my husband sits. He's in detail, which is why he's a good project manager. And anyone at the top here, the creator, they're the excited people who just get things going. So if you have one of each of these around the outside, you have a really, really cracking team. And what we've managed to attract with this joint venture, Martin's a lord, I'm a trader. The other partners happen to be a supporter and a creator. We'd created a fantastic team. So it'd be really worth you having a look at this profiling tool. Now, the QR code that's on the screen at the moment is the free version. This is what they call the Genius U test. It'll tell you whether you are on the right hand side, whether you are on the bottom, whether you're on the left hand side, or whether you're on the top. And if you resonate with the report that comes out, I would recommend that you go on, and it's I don't know what it is at the moment, but maybe $79, something like that, to go on to the full report and work out where you sit on this profiling tool, and therefore the type of people that you're looking for. Are you introverted? Are you extroverted? Do you not really know where you sit? I'd really recommend that you look into this. So when you do a joint venture partnership, you must do a joint venture agreement. Joint venture agreements are not for the happy days. They are for the days where things are challenging. You've set it all up, it's exciting, it's all going fantastically well, and then something happens that you are not expecting. Things like COVID, things like a partner going bankrupt, a partner becoming ill, the market changing, and your original plan, your first original plan doesn't work. It's really important you get a JV agreement put together and that it is put through the solicitors. So that was joint venture partnerships, and I'll come later on to obviously my marketing plan, which I've spoken about a couple of times. So case study number 4 is this was crowd property main lending, and then we borrowed SAS funds, but we also managed to agree this below market value. So this is our flagship property down in Dover. If any of you follow us, you may have got a bit bored of our posts about this property. We love this property. It's a huge HMO. We found it through HMO letters. It was in probate. We agreed £100,000 below market value, primarily because the property had no planning permission. It had no EPC. It had no central heating. It had gas fires in all of the individual rooms. It had coin meters. We took out something in the region of 15 to 20 coin meters. If somebody wanted to boil an egg, they had to put 50p in the meter or £1 in the meter. If they wanted to have a shower, they had to do the same. There were meters everywhere, and they weren't new meters, they were old meters. So when we bought the property, we were handed a huge amount of keys, and we were also handed an old a bag of old £1 coins and an old bag of 50p coins. So the whole thing needed updating. We agreed 100 grand below market value, and that was important because it meant that we needed to find less money. Crowd property on the right project will lend you money on the open market value rather than the purchase price. So we purchased it at 325. We would have needed an £80,000 deposit. Because the property was worth 425, valued by a RIC surveyor, we actually needed to find less money. Now, I know those two figures don't correlate. That's because crowd property is expensive lending. We approached SAS investors with our business plan to help us purchase this property and also do the refurbishment. So SAS funds, what are they? SAS funds are pension funds. I've got a SAS fund, and what I did was I had bits of pension funds all over the place, and merged my pension funds into a SAS fund that I can use for investment purposes. Now, I can invest commercially with it, but I can also invest in other people's deals. So I'm really motivated to get my money working. When all of that pension fund was sitting in a private pension being managed, somebody else was dealing with that investment, and I didn't need to worry about it. As soon as I put it into a SAS fund, I'm in control of my pension fund, and I'm incredibly motivated to keep that growing. So if I've got any money sitting in my SAS fund, I get fidgety because that pension is not growing as it should do. So people with SAS funds are highly motivated to get that money working for them. And why use SAS funds? SAS funds are very clean money. Whenever you borrow from someone like Shawbrook, they will probably ask you where you have got your deposit money from. If you say that it's that you've borrowed some SAS funds, case closed, no more questions. That money cannot be laundered. They're effectively asking if this money has been laundered. When we borrow money from companies, they want to know what that company has done to create that money. They want to know where that money has come from. Has it been laundered? If it's SAS funds, no more questions. So they're really easy funds to use for deposits. The other thing with SASs is that they are expensive. this is my invoice for 1 year of administration. All SAS funds have an administrator, and that administrator makes sure that you are doing the right thing with that money, and that you are not investing it in the wrong place. If you do the wrong thing and don't follow the rules, you could end up with something like a 50% tax penalty from HMRC. So that administrator is there for a good reason, but they charge handsomely for it. So every year money is sitting in my SAS fund doing nothing. It is decreasing. So I'm really motivated. This is a cracking property, and that figure is not actually up to date. We refurbished and refinanced commercially to repay the investors. And here's some photos. It's a glorious property with fantastic features. We've left as much as possible in there as we can. This is a before photo. We inherited the property with a number of tenants. One of them we called Smokey Joe, and they are his footprints as he looked out the window to smoke his 40 cigarettes a day. That was his room, which was kind of nicotine yellow. And I'm actually in the cupboard there collecting the money from one of the coin meters. And you can see the really old-fashioned gas fire there. That I remember growing up with. I mean, why they're in bed, still allowed to be in bedrooms, I don't know. So we have totally refurbished the whole property and increased rents from circa £300 to circa £650. And actually, I just heard from my letting agent this morning that they've increased something to £700. So, so cash flowing really, really nicely now, this property. So that's SAS investors. And also below market value. If you can secure a below market value deal, you just need to find less money to get in to the deal. So the next case study, this was actually a SAS investor as well, but the important thing here was delayed completion. This meant that I needed to find less money in the first place. So surprisingly enough, there's actually 3 flats in this property. There's a flat on the top floor, there's a flat on the ground floor, and if you go around the back, there is a flat in the basement. There's this is in Wales, and the purchase price was £95,000 for all 3 flats. Now, over this way, I live in Tunbridge in Kent. That doesn't even buy 1 flat over this way. So so that's why we invested over in Wales. So the figures on the screen here just demonstrate what you can do with a delayed completion. The property was on the market for £95,000. In reality, it wasn't worth £95,000 because the basement flat was, you couldn't live in the basement flat. Someone had died in it and it hadn't been refurbished. £95,000 purchase, deposit, you can see there, and the refurbishment costs. We agreed with the owner that we would delay the completion by 3 months. By the way, don't do 3 months. That's the scariest 3 months we've ever done. Always do 6, 9 months, something like that. We agreed that we would delay the completion. So we would exchange, we would do the refurbishment of the basement within a period, and then we would finance it at the end of that period. There are so many properties on the market at the moment that are that the owner is asking for far too much money. What could you offer on that you could offer a delayed completion and therefore need to find less money? Because on the delayed completion, all we needed to find was the refurbishment cost, because the final valuation covered the purchase price. And as I say, I'm certainly finding down in our area that there are lots and lots of properties that are on the market for far too much money. What's the opportunity with that property? Could you convert it within the time of a delayed completion? Could you refurbish it? Could you split the titles? What could you do within a delayed completion that means that you would need to find less money? With a normal purchase, we'd have needed circa £40,000. With a delayed completion, we needed to find £15,000. It's a lot smaller investment. So this is a final case study before I come to my marketing plan and also my my business plan. This is vendor finance. So very similar to delayed completion. This was a cracking property overlooking Clapham Common. It was converted into 3 flats. When I say it was converted into 3 flats, you had to go through one flat to get to another flat. And there was also a toilet in a kitchen. I really wish I got a photo of that, but we never did. Well, we can't find one anyway. So it was vaguely converted into 3 flats. The purchase price the owner wanted was £1.45 million. Now, it wasn't worth that much money. So we suggested to the owner that we could pay £500,000 now and pay the balance later on once we had regularised the flats, got planning permission for the flats because they hadn't even got planning permission. And then once we developed it all through, we could pay the balance. The benefit here is that there's less financing cost, and the deposit on £500,000 is a lot less than the deposit on £1.45 million. So we were looking for, circa £150,000 as opposed to £500,000 in that region. In the end, we actually sold this for planning gain. You can see the building that's next to it is a church. The planning permission that we achieved on it increased the flats from 3 flats to 4 flats. And that extra flat was going to be in the basement. And we weren't entirely sure. There's always a risk when you dig down in the basement. We weren't entirely sure, based on the fact that it had been built on consecrated ground, what we were going to be finding. So we were quite happy to get out of this deal and take our profit, and we sold this for planning gain. So that's taken me through all of the case studies of the different types of investors that we find, and the different types of deals that we've done to mean that we don't need to find quite so much money. So the 3 things you need a marketing strategy. Now, don't panic. My marketing strategy is not going to set the world alight. The thing with a marketing strategy is that you set it down on paper and you do it consistently. Whatever you write down, you do it consistently. Next thing you need is a deal sheet and a business plan. And the last thing is heads of terms. If you're here because you haven't had your first investor, it will surprise you the first time somebody says yes. It's always worth having the next document ready, and it's the heads of terms that is the next document when somebody has said yes, that you then send to the solicitors. So here's what you can build into your marketing strategy. What funds could you look for and where? So private investor funding. These are your friends and family. You need to start putting your head above the parapet. And here I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about just posting about your any deals that you've already done. Even if that property you've had for 20 years, you are an experienced landlord. Post something about that. Post about your life. Post about what you're doing. Post about your interests. Post about your viewings. If you go to a viewing and there's a really old Arga, post it on there. Post it on social media and show people that you are doing property. If the first thing that you put on social media is I'm looking for money, it won't work. You need to seed ideas in people's heads that that you are doing property. And then when we come to the business plan, and that's what you end up putting out to everyone, people know what you're doing and they're expecting it. So private investor funding private investors, it's all about telling everybody what you do. Write down how often you are going to post on social media, who you're going to talk to, 5 people a week. Tell them what you're doing and get them excited about these amazing developments that you are going to be doing. Companies with retained profit. So I network within the Property Investors Network, but there are also other types of networking events, business networking events. Around here, there's Business Over Breakfast, there's BNI, but there's several others across the country. Go to these networking events and let them know what you are doing. If they've got money sitting in their business bank accounts, it is depreciating. you will be doing them a favour by offering them some opportunities. SAS investors, now we've seen the amount of people with SASs grow massively over the last couple of years. I generally find those people within property networking events, people who have got businesses. You need a limited company to set up a SAS fund. So you're talking about those same places, those networking events. And again, joint venture investors. Our first joint venture investor, funnily enough, ended up being the first person that Martin sat next to at a property networking event. It took us a while to build up the rapport, and it won't happen if you just turn up to a networking event once. You have to put in your plan that you are which networking events you're going to do and how often you are going to go to them. You won't get a joint venture investor on your first visit to a networking event. We went out for coffees, teas, we went out for viewings with this joint venture partner, and then maybe a year down the line, that's where the first deal came. So that is all about where you find these different investors. And what you are looking for is potential investors. Now, when I'm posting on social media, if I see that people are really interested in what I'm doing, they're replying to me, they're messaging me, I note those people down. And I'm looking for a list of maybe investors. And these are the people that I give the business plan to later on. So companies with retained profits, I just pay attention, become interested, become curious about what people are doing, and note down who is responding to what you are saying. They love the fact that you've just done this HMO and it's got a fantastic kitchen. It looks brilliant. Who's replied to that post? Write that person down. Who really liked the avocado bathroom suite that you posted on social media last week? Write those people down. They are the people that are interested in what you are doing, and they are potentials for you to get involved with. What deals could you look for? So I've spoken about, what have I spoken about? I've spoken about purchase lease options, delayed completion, finding anything below market value. And of course, all of these deals are what you can find on Property Filter. All of those properties that have been on the market for months, Property Filter makes it really easy for you to target those people that could be motivated to work with you on maybe a delayed completion. If they can't sell the property for what it's on the market for at the moment, maybe they're happy to wait for that money for a period of time. So think creatively. I think we're definitely heading into a market now where creative deals are really suitable. So don't get excited about this deal sheet or this business plan, because I created it on Word. Some of my coachees get a little bit stuck by feeling like they need something incredibly professional, a 12-page document that says what their company's doing, a really flashy document that they've sent off to a marketing company and they're waiting for it to come back. This one-page document that I created in Word, and I put a box around it to make it look a bit prettier. This has raised heading for £2 million in private investor finance. So at the top of this, we've got the opportunity, what's on offer, and how are you going to secure that? We've got the deal, a little bit about the deal, a little bit about what we're going to do with money, and the figures. This is where you end up with the exit. So on the 5th line down on the figures section, you can see that I've said based on an 80% loan to value, this should release circa £40,000. And you can see at the top, we borrowed £35,000. That's the most important line on this deal sheet, business plan, call it whatever you like. And then a little bit about you. What makes you investable? We were hosts of the of Kent Pin for I think it was 8 years before we gave up in December, investing for more years than that. A little bit about you. Now, some of my coaches aren't really sure what to put in there. What can they bring to the deal? What makes them investable? I'm really good at digging that out of people. So my contact details will be at the end of this presentation, and feel free to book a call with me and I will find that thing that makes you investable. One of my coaches said, oh, you know, why would anybody lend me money? Okay, well, what's in your background? What did you do beforehand? Well, before, you know, I used to manage a multi-million-pound fund for a bank. Bingo. That if you are being trusted with a multi-million-pound fund for a bank, lending them £35,000, you know, they know their numbers, they know what they are doing with figures. That makes that person more investable. If you don't know what makes you investable, give me a call and I will absolutely find the thing that makes you investable. I never really understood my skills, where my skills fitted into property. I was an administrator, payroll admin, training admin, health and safety admin, every sort of admin I did. If you think about it, an awful lot of property is actually administration. My skills fitted in fantastically with our property business. So once we have a list of maybe investors from the marketing that you've done, you've raised your head above the parapet on social media, you've been to some networking events. This stuff is not rocket science. You found maybe investors. You then set, and you need a list of 20, 25 people. I then send this deal sheet, this business plan to those 20, 25 people that have spoken to me and said, yeah, I like what you're doing. Maybe we should talk more. They're interested in what you're doing. Send this to them. And one of those should be interested in what you are doing. The more people that you have on that maybe investor list, the more luck you will have with finding an investor. I've never had to pull out of a deal because we didn't have the funds by following this process. If you'd like a copy of this and this second sheet, please do drop me a line and I'm more than happy to send those through to you. And then finally, the heads of terms document. It's a really simple document. Once somebody says yes, put their details on here, put your details on here, end up with 2 documents. You send one to your solicitor, so you send one to your solicitor, one to their solicitor, and then the solicitors put together probably a 50-page document, because that seems to be what happens. That is the loan document. It's really important that for at least the first few times you do this, that must go through solicitors. After that, you know, the choice is yours once you get a little bit more confident. So that is the heads of terms. So why do I borrow money from investors? Well, obviously I want to increase my portfolio. I want this business. I want to create fantastic properties for my tenants. But what I've come to realize is that I also want to serve my investors. I really enjoy the fact that my investors are getting a better retirement because I have created a project that allows them to invest in me. I can give people more money than they are getting in a bank. I can give people more return on their investment than they are getting in many other standard investments. I like the idea that people can go on cruises on the money that I am investing, that they are investing with me, and the return that I am able to give them. Some of my coaches are worried about begging for money. You are not begging for money. You are offering an opportunity. As I've shown you, the companies with the money sitting in the bank account, the SAS investors that have got money sitting in a SAS bank account, they need to get that money working. Otherwise, the money is depreciating. So what's next for us? We're still building our portfolio. We're refinancing a number at the moment, which is challenging. I'm sure a lot of you have got that same thing as well at the moment. But yeah, we're still building our portfolio for our retirement. So in summary, be creative. You're looking for creative deals, and it really is the right time in the market at the moment for these creative deals. Delayed completion, purchase lease options, below market value. They all mean that you can start small. Always look for funds and deals at the same time. If you only look for deals, the minute that you get a deal, you will not find an investor. You need to raise your head above the parapet now at the same time as you're looking at property filter, and start building that list of maybe investors. And then once you've found the deal, you can approach those maybe investors and you will find your first investor or your next investor. And as I said, start small. What could you do that with something that you've got at the moment, maybe, that you could just start small, a refurbishment of a kitchen or a small refurbishment of a flat? If you haven't borrowed money from an investor yet, start small on something. Even if you don't necessarily need to borrow the money, start small on something and give yourself the ability to get a testimonial from an investor. That was a huge confidence boost for us at the beginning when we started with that £17,000 purchase lease option nearly 8-9 years ago now. And always remember your why. You are offering an opportunity. You are improving people's lives by giving them a good return on their investment. So this is me, Sarah Rapley, you know that. These are my contact details. If anything I've gone through there doesn't quite make sense, if there's a deal structure that you want to discuss further, something like the purchase lease options or the delayed completion, which can seem a little bit alien to some people sometimes, if there's anything in there, please do book a free call with me using that QR code. I'm more than happy to go through this in any more detail. If you want help putting together your marketing plan or finding the thing that makes you investable, please do book a call. And yeah, I'm also more than happy to pass on those 2 documents to you. I've done that several times when I've done this talk before. So I hope that's been really helpful for you to get some confidence in putting more offers in on the deals that are out there at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Thank you. I think you deserve a really big round of virtual applause. Thank you. I really learned a few things. Really good talk. Thanks. It was great to have you, Sarah. So we've got some, feel free to leave your things on because I think there are some questions around how do I get copies of the end of term and things like that. And as I go to those questions, I want to be pointing at the screen to say, hey, here's Sarah's email. Here's how you book a call with Sarah. So let me find the questions again. So if we go back from the beginning, so someone was asking about the cash flow, this very first deal, 750 per month. I don't think it was per month. Is that, was it for during the period of the option? I think
so the £750 cash flow was the profit to us after we had leased the property from the owner. And then once we'd done the full refurbishment, we increased that cash flow kind of after the refinance. Does that make sense?
So was that a monthly cash flow? A monthly
Yes.
profit? Okay, great. Yeah, really good. Yes, he's asking, might you have a template for the business plan and that you are happy to share? So scan the QR code, send an email, Sarah. But if you could get the document, or if you could get the document and speak with Sarah, I would probably take the second option. So yeah, so something that always strikes me with you, Sarah, you and Martin actually, is that you always describe yourself, and it's funny, you talk about wealth dynamics and you position yourself as the introvert, the introvert and kinesthetic, so the least, you always describe yourself as the least creative people on earth, and I'm like, come on, like, look at your deals. So it goes to shows, you know, if Sarah can do creative deals, there's no excuse, you know, like
yeah, absolutely.
the...
If I can do this, if you'd have met me 10 years ago and you'd have told me that I had raised, you know, nearly £2 million in private investor finance, I'd have laughed at you. So, you know, if I can do this, absolutely anyone can.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, you know, the market is really wide for it, you know, for all these creative deals, the lease options, and a lot of the owner situation you described, you know, around having low equity and, you know, the reason why doing creative deals and stuff like that. So yeah, that was really interesting. So someone's asking, so probate, how long did you have to wait for completion of making the offer?
It was a year. So yeah, it took forever, but we knew that it was such a good deal that you know, we just stuck with it, and it ended up hitting COVID as well. So we completed in August 2020. So yeah, we did the deal in August 2019, and probate took a long time. I think the owner had got lots of businesses, property everywhere, everything had to be revalued quite a lot, you know. It took forever, but persistence is the key here, and you know, following up and keeping in touch, and you know, we ended up with a property 100k below market value.
There you go.
And that wasn't us negotiating down. We never kind of knock people down and make people feel uncomfortable. That was genuinely, they said, what do you want to offer? We said 325. They said yes. And then we had the RICS valuation, and that then proved it was at 425. We felt like we were below market value, but you know, they accepted it.
Awesome. Yeah, property gets rich slow, but gets rich for sure. Someone's asking, can you invest past funds into HMO conversion?
So
I think there's a kind of worm here if we go into the SAS function and what you can do.
This absolutely is a can of worms. You need to speak to individual SAS administrators to see what they are comfortable with. Depending on who you speak to, you may get a different story. So we have borrowed funds to refurbish properties, and the administrators that we've borrowed from have been happy with that.
Yeah, but the key with SAS is you can lend to your friend and borrow from your friend. You know, that works quite well. Kelvin, so is basically raising some money. So yeah, do reach out to Kelvin if interested. Do your due diligence, get to know each other. Don't ever jump into bed with anybody. This is like same rules as a in-person
as a normal relationship.
networking meeting. No, it's all good, you know, like fair play to you guys. I'm happy for you to do that, you know, but it's just for the others to, you know, they get to know each other, date before you marry, basically. Latoya, so obstacles I find is sometimes the seller ends some money upfront to help with relocation. How do you mitigate that securely? I'm not quite sure what you mean with the question here. Is that to do with when you do lease options with homeowners and they need relocation? I'm not quite sure. I've never had to deal with this myself. Sarah, is that something you...
No, haven't had that yet.
Yeah.
Anything
but Rukaya, so we'd like a copy, please. So again, I will point at the screen, book a call with Sarah. She will show you how you can be investable, and you'll get a copy as well. Karen's got an interesting deal as well. So again, feel free to connect with Karen. Do make your due diligence, get to know each other before you lend each other, give each other money. Deborah, I'd like
absolutely. Just on that, can I just make a point on that, Guillaume? When you borrow money from investors, it is a huge responsibility, and you really do need to do your due diligence and really do need to get to know each other. Everyone that I've borrowed from, I've known for well over 2 years to start with, and you know, a lot of them have been over 10 years. And you need to make sure that you've got the same ideas as moving forward, you know, the same values. What interests you? You really do need to do your due diligence, and it is a huge responsibility to borrow money, and even down to the fact that, you know, this house that I'm in at the moment, I work from home. If I had to, I would sell this house to pay back investors. You need to be in that mindset, and anyone that you invest in needs to be in that mindset as well, that they will do absolutely anything to get that money back to you. So, you know, add that into your due diligence. You know, they need to be prepared to go to the ends of the earth to get that money back to you. If the market changes, things happen in deals, and maybe the money needs to come out somewhere else. So always make sure that you know, there's an exit, there's a plan A, a plan B, plan C, and a plan D, really, at the moment, the way things are going.
Awesome, yeah, thanks for that. So Deborah would like a copy of the term sheets as well. So I've shown you where it is. Leroy is asking how much interest is charged by investors, SAS funds, etc. So usually it's the other way around, but I'm not sure if you're on about the fees for the SAS function, or if you're about the interests that are offered to investors.
So I could go through both of those. So yeah, interest to investors really depends on the deal. Depends on whether it's short term, whether it's long term. We've had anything between 6% and kind of 12%, something like that. And borrowing money from SAS investors, there is a solicitor involved. There are the administrator fees involved. So, you know, anywhere. It used to be something like £500 to £1,000. We just looked at borrowing money from someone, and the fee was something like £2,000. I'm just looking into that at the moment. So what's going on?
All right. Gits is asking, would like a copy of it, please. Again, scan the QR code, send an email to Sarah. Rob also would like, we'd be grateful to have a copy. Again, same thing. Rukaya, same thing. William, same thing. Lance is asking, I understand that you need to do KYC, know your customer and your investors. Is that delegated to the solicitor? So I think this is to do with money laundering, anti-money laundering and things like that.
Oh, okay. Yes, it can be done absolutely done by the solicitor. That's obviously with a extra charge, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So I now have an avalanche of gratefulness. Thank you. Feedback for you, Sarah. Great talk, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Cool, Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks so much, Sarah. Really valuable. Thanks, Sarah. Very interesting. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. Very clear. Really helpful. Thank you. Very interesting. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. Great example. Somewhat. Jenny would like a copy of the term as well.
That's fine.
Another thank you very much. Very educative. Most informative. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much. I should need a call about what makes me investable. Yeah, do take
more
on
than
Sarah's
happy.
offer.
I really enjoy doing that, actually, with my coaching skills. That's exactly my bag. I love coaching people and you know, dragging out of them what they don't know is within them.
Eamon is asking, any challenging deals that did not work out, and any lessons you have to share with us?
Any challenging deals, one or two? Yeah, absolutely. Anything that I can share right now, I'm not entirely sure that I can share anything off the top of my head that may be of any value, but it's not an easy journey. Property investing, you know, these are the good deals that we have managed to pull off. There's been times where probate has taken too long for the kind of the financing to make any sense to carry on, and we've ended up dropping out of those. I've got endless deals that, you know, just didn't stack for one reason or other. An awful lot of them because financing is too expensive and the owner wants too much money. That's probably the summary.
Yeah, a lot of the times. So yeah, lots of great feedback. Yeah, lots of great feedback. Karen's asking, can you recommend anyone for a refinance? I find it quite difficult with regards to the fees that the lenders charge at the moment. Yeah, I've got the same problem.
So the mortgage broker that I'm using at the moment is, all right if I share who I'm using, Guillaume?
Yeah,
Maybe?
fine.
Yeah. Is Bond Finance. So Bruce Mannering, yeah, more than happy to share his contact details as well. Drop me an email. It is expensive out there at the moment. It absolutely is expensive. The fantastic thing with them is that they're incredibly proactive, and I'm an administrator, and actually my admin's quite good, and if I drop the ball they chase me, which is a bit of a surprise really. So yeah, as a service I would recommend them. Dropping the fees, not sure you can get much cheaper anywhere.
I missed Emon actually, was asking if you can help Sarah with commercial to resi opportunity. I think this goes well into something that Martin can help with.
What was that? Sorry, I missed that.
Something around help around commercial to resi.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. If you've got a commercial to residential deal that you need some help, maybe with the stacking, maybe with the feasibility, or even, the refurbishment and the conversion, drop me an email, book a call. More than happy to chat about that.
Yeah. Awesome. And it's diverging quite a bit. So someone's looking for a right to buy leasehold flat. I'm not quite sure. We'll get some finance people in the future, and we can ask them all these kind of very specific questions, and we'll give them a bit of a grilling. Ian's asking if you have a SAS pension, can you invest, for instance, in your own commercial to resi project? Again, yeah, ask the SAS guys for the details about what you can and can't do. Jehan is asking, how did you start, Sarah? I think was it with this short lease flat?
So we had the short lease flat for 20 years. If only we'd have carried on 20 years ago, when we refinanced it and reinvested it. If we'd have reinvested that at the time, that would have been great. And then we came across PIN in 2013. And that's when we really started. In 2014, we got that first purchase lease option.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and then all of us will look at us right now in 10 years time, and we'll be hoping that we've done more deals right now. So
100%.
So it's always the same. So Iman is saying, JV, be very, very careful, and Natasha supports that and say, great. Good advice. You need to know. You need to get to know each other very well first. Absolutely
100%.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Glenn's asking percent-wise what are offers. So I don't know if you want to comment on interest you offer. You said earlier depending on the deals.
Yeah, absolutely. It really depends on the deal, what we're doing with it, how long we're keeping it. Are we talking long term here? Are we talking short term? And yeah, it's somewhere between 6 and 12%. Yeah, completely depends on the deal.
Okay, so we start to go back on the similar questions. William is got a very deal specific. So yeah, if you want to speak to Sarah and you need some help, do book a call with the QR code here, William. I think with the questions you've got here, you probably need 20 minutes, half an hour. So okay. Great. Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Very well engaging, and yeah, thanks so much, really, Sarah, for sharing today. We will wrap up now, if that's okay. Do you have any last word you want to share, Sarah?
No, I guess good luck. Good luck with finding that first investor. Good luck with finding that next investor, and start now and start and be consistent. The only way that we have raised that much money is consistency in my fairly sketchy marketing plan. Write something down and be consistent. Yeah, best of luck, and I'm here if I can help at all. Thanks so much, Sarah. So thank you everybody for joining us at today's Deal Finder Corner.
do take on Sarah's offer and scan her QR code now. Save the link for later if you want to speak with her, in a couple of weeks or something. Visit the propertyfilter.co.uk website, log on to your Property Filter account, check out the deal blueprints where you define your gold mine area, engage with motivated sellers, assess properties in seconds, ultimately lower your pipeline and make deals. Have an endless supply of deals, join the top 1% and become a high achiever deal finder. I hope you enjoyed today's Deal Finder Corner. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great one. And thank you very much, everybody, again. Bye-bye, and thanks again, Sarah. Thank you, everybody.